Venezuela is trying to basically form this commission. It's in touch with several Arab countries and Latin American countries, as well as countries in other places as well, and organizations such as UNASUR, which is the Union of South American Nations, and ALBA. And we hope in the next few days to find out exactly what the efforts will be about and what they hope to reach in mediating between the government in Libya and the representatives of the rebels.
The Arab League says it could impose a no-fly zone over Libya if fighting continues. The group's Secretary General says this action could be taken in coordination with the African Union.
We'll continue consultations on the best way to protect and guarantee the safety and security of the Libyan people and that of the Arab nations. We will not remain idle in light of the bloodshed that the Libyan people are facing, and therefore we may resort to a no-fly zone, and the Arab League and African Union are cooperating in this regard.
Now, while the United States says all options are on the table, top officials have expressed caution over imposing a no-fly zone. Other nations also have reservations. Russia and China have already suggested it will not work. John Terrett has more.
Mr. Crenshaw is recognized.
Remarks from senior officials in the Obama administration reveal the challenges faced when dealing with Libya. Hours before heavy hitters gave testimony on Capitol Hill, the U.S. Senate unanimously approved a non-binding resolution that calls on the UN to impose a no-fly zone over Libya, a popular idea with many in Washington.
Well, I think that everyone is worried about what's happening and wants to put an end to it. No one wants to let this go on.
But with increasing concerns being voiced from UN and NATO members, administration officials are pointing out how difficult it would be to establish a no-fly zone over Libya.
And let's just call a spade a spade. A no-fly zone begins with an attack on Libya to destroy the air defenses. That's the way you do a no-fly zone.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said the administration's worried Libya could become a giant Somalia, and she drew parallels between a potential no-fly zone for Libya and circumstances in the Balkans 2 decades ago.
The difficulty of it, the maintenance of it, the appearance of it, and eventually it was determined that it was in the interests of the peace and stability of the region, etc.
At Wednesday's White House briefing, Libya was third on the agenda behind the shootings of U.S. service personnel in Germany and domestic budget issues.
The no-fly zone is an option that is being actively considered. It is, as are other options.
Even though the Arab League and the African Union are now talking about imposing a no-fly zone over Libya themselves, the international community remains divided on the effectiveness of such an approach. Nations like Russia, France and China, with veto-wielding powers in the Security Council, are fearful that a no-fly zone may lead to a protracted conflict, like the ones in Iraq and Afghanistan. In other words, while countries within NATO, the UN and the EU are keen to see Gaddafi's planes grounded to prevent attacks on civilians, they don't want to risk putting more foreign military boots on the ground in a region already perceived to have enough already. John Terrett, AlJazeera, Washington.
Joining us now is Matjoub Zwairi. He is a professor of contemporary history of the Middle East at Qatar University. Thanks again. As these battles rage on in Libya, there are questions being raised about the colonel's military capabilities in the country. Now, we know that his conventional army has been very badly equipped, poorly trained, has not posed a threat to him. He's wanted it that way. But there are myriad other forces within the country, many of them controlled by his sons. What do we know about their military capability?
I think the part of his military capability is this part, which basically now is protecting him, the colonel and his Gaddafi and his family. Those were well trained and basically it's kind of revolutionary guard. The Libyan Gaddafi Revolutionary Guard. We have to put it in this context. We have two revolutions now. We have Gaddafi Revolution and the Real Revolution now. Those Revolutionary Guard, they are well trained and well equipped and loyal to Gaddafi and his sons. And I think those are now the circle which basically protecting Gaddafi, and they are fighting now people in Brega and other cities. I think people, they are loyal to him. And I think those people last week, there were a lot of statements said by some of former advisors of Gaddafi, where they said that those people actually they are now occupying villas, houses, and they believe that he will survive from this crisis.
What do we know about this one particular force that is run by one of his sons, Kamis?
Yes.
He runs a force.
Yes.
What do we know about that force?
We know that this is special forces. Special tasks being assigned to them. We know that one of these tasks is actually to protect the family itself. And I think they are now engaged on these battles, especially on Bab al-Azizi, basically the place where al-Gaddafi is based now.
Right. When Colonel Gaddafi was sort of brought in from the cold, after that rapprochement with the West, he destroyed most of his chemical weapons, but he still has a formidable array of chemical weapons in the form of mustard gas.
Yes.
Is it likely that he will use them?
It's unlikely. And I think if this diplomatic effort continues, I think he will be, at the end of the day, his survival. He wants to survive from this crisis. If he feels that there's another options for him, I think he will not use such weapons. But you can't fully ignore that option because at the end of the day, if he faces a real threat, he may use it just to as a cover to escape or to leave Libya. It's unlikely to happen, at least in recent weeks.
Okay, Professor, once again, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. The battle for Brega has been dominating online content. We'll be looking into that after the break.
Well, here at the web desk, I'll have the latest video of the fighting and an interview with what's claimed to be a captured soldier in just a moment.
And in other news, fighting the drugs war. Mexico seeks the United States' help in the conflict with the drug cartels.
As the dry condition extends over Amritsar, we'll find the right flavour to tempt your palate.
Hello there. Well, recently Bolivia has actually managed to stay dry after those mudslides. The last 24 hours or so haven't been too bad. There's not a great deal of cloud showing up here at all. I think as we head through the next couple of days, we are going to see a return to the showery conditions, but the showers shouldn't be too heavy here. I think the wetter weather will actually be towards the east. You can see these dark blues here around Rio and the Sao Paulo area. And here we're going to see torrential downpours as we head through the next couple of days. For Buenos Aires, though, here it should be dry. It'll be hot, though, all the way up at 31 degrees. Now, recently, for Cape Town, it's been pretty hot here as well, but things are all going to change for us as we head through the next few days. More clouds going to be bubbling up here, and some heavy thundery downpours are likely, particularly late on during the day. Meanwhile, further north, we've got our usual rash of showers here, stretching from Angola all the way across towards Madagascar. And Madagascar and Mozambique are going to be seeing some of the heaviest showers here. Now, a bit further north and here in Doha, our weather's not too humid at the moment, but it certainly is blustery, and it's going to be another windy one as we head through Thursday. A top temperature then of 24 degrees, but there will be a certain amount of haze.